With both the PlayStation Plus and Xbox Live Games with Gold free game offerings revealed for the month of October, it is now time to take a look at both of the services' games offerings and decide on which one is better. They both have relatively decent offerings come October, although I do think there's a landslide winner next month, and that's a little bit of a rarity, but nonetheless, let's get right into it. And as always, let's start off with the PlayStation Plus freebies. Of course, the highlight has to be The Last of Us Remastered, one of the most iconic PlayStation games of all time. Of course, it originally released on the PlayStation 3, then it was remastered on the PlayStation 4 in the form of The Last of Us Remastered. You've got the Left Behind DLC in there. It is one of Naughty Dog's finest games. In my opinion, it's their second best game, right behind Uncharted 4, although we can debate on which game is better for a long time. We can even debate if Uncharted 2 is the best of all of the Naughty Dog games. Hell, you could throw a different game in the pile as well. What I do know is that The Last of Us Remastered is tremendous. However, you also do have to consider the fact that this is a game that probably a lot of people own. I mean, if you have a PlayStation platform and you're a relatively hardcore gamer, and if you're watching this channel, you're probably into gaming somewhat, you probably already played The Last of Us. However, I know that there's a contingency of you that also played the game on PlayStation 3, and you definitely wouldn't mind revisiting the game on the PlayStation 4 in its definitive version, so in that sense, it is a really timely arrival. And of course, with the announcement of the release date of The Last of Us Part 2 coming February 21st, 2020. Now would be a great time for those of you that didn't play The Last of Us for whatever reason to finally give the game a shot, and I'm telling you, you are absolutely gonna enjoy it. It's a game that really hooks you right from the get-go. The first 30 minutes of the game is as emotional as the first 30 minutes of any entertainment property that I think I've ever experienced. Yeah, outside of gaming, if you want to go into movies, if you want to go into TV shows, the first 30 minutes are so captivating, so engrossing. Last of Us absolutely offers that, and it doesn't stop after the first 30 minutes. The entire game is a roller coaster thrill ride that everyone needs to experience. The game has a 95 on Metacritic. There's a reason for that. It's one of the best PlayStation exclusives of all time, and if you want to go as far as to say it's the best first-party PlayStation release of all time, honestly, I wouldn't hate on you all too much for that. I like Uncharted 4 better, but at that point, we're splitting hairs. These games are at a class of their own, and Last of Us Remastered is a game that you should absolutely play, and is definitely a great marquee title for the October lineup. Okay, also, we've got MLB The Show 19. Now, this is a game that's gonna be a little bit divisive because there's just gonna be some of you that do not like your sports games, and yes, that is a little bit of a bummer that we've got a sports game here. However, in the case of MLB The Show 19, this is a very recent release. It came out just 6 months ago. Yeah, 6 months to the day. It came out March 26, 2019, and MLB The Show, every entry has been really, really good. The MLB games, they're PlayStation exclusive, and they've always been really good. I remember checking out MLB The Show 09 and really enjoying it. Now we're up to MLB The Show 19, and these games are still received incredibly well. Now, just like The Last of Us Remastered, I feel like those that would have interest in a game like this would have already played it. Just because if you're a baseball fan and you're a gamer, you probably were already super stoked for the release of MLB The Show 19, and you already picked it up. However, there's probably some of you guys that are, you know, fringe fans, and maybe you checked out MLB The Show a couple years ago, and now is a freebie. It is a great offering. The game was received really well. It has an 86 on Metacritic. If you're into baseball games, you're really gonna enjoy it, and I think this is much better than something like Pro Evolution Soccer being offered in July, given that MLB The Show is the premier baseball video game franchise. It's received really well, it's a PlayStation exclusive, and it's a very recent release that they're continually updating and making the experience even better. So for all of that reason, I think MLB The Show is a little bit of an underrated offer. I see some people complaining about it. Maybe it's because it's a sense of, oh, I already have The Last of Us Remastered, and now all you're seeing is you got a baseball game to work with, and some people are going to be just generally turned off by that. But if you do assess it objectively, if you do understand the fact that, yes, while you personally might not be into baseball games, for the rest of the audience, there's going to be a lot of people very excited with MLB The Show 19 being offered, and given that it's a super recent release, given that it's still going for a hefty price point, I think it's still $40 pretty regularly, that's a pretty good offer. Okay, so those are the two freebies with your PlayStation Plus subscription, and now let's move on to the Xbox One offerings, which inherently do have an advantage given the fact that you are getting 4 Xbox One titles, or 4 games rather, that are playable on the Xbox One, given that 2 are 360 games, but you've got 4 games versus 2. In the past, PlayStation guys would have more than 2 games, given that PlayStation Vita games a lot of the times were cross-buy, but that is a thing of the past. You would think that that would offer towards higher quality games being PlayStation Plus freebies, and that has kind of been the case, I guess. I mean, MLB The Show 19 and Last of Us Remaster are pretty marquee titles, but the jury is still out on that. So let's take a look at the Xbox Live Games with Gold offerings. First up, you've got Tembo the Badass Elephant, and this is a quirky little game. However, this is a game that released a long time ago, and I wouldn't value it all too highly. It released all the way back in July of 2015, and yes, it is a charming game, and the visuals are kind of neat, but it's not like it was even received that strongly back in 2015. It has a 70 on Metacritic, but if you do want a zany, no-nonsense action title, I guess Tembo the Badass Elephant is gonna offer you that, and there's definitely a lot of fun to be had. It's just, as a standout and marquee title, this is probably not a game to really sell you over. Here's an interesting tidbit though. Tembo the Badass Elephant was actually developed by Game Freak, the guys that do the Pokemon games, so just thought that would be kind of interesting to know, but it's still a cool game. I think it's a game that a lot of Xbox guys haven't checked out, so from that sense, unlike The Last of Us Remastered, where I think the majority of PlayStation users did play that game, Tembo the Badass Elephant has the novelty of it being a relatively unknown game, so it is something new to check out. Again, the game has a 70 on Metacritic. Now, that's one of the Xbox One games. The title that I would say is the marquee Xbox One offering would have to be Friday the 13th, the game, and that works really well given that it's October, it's Halloween month, so you're giving something for the thematic, and I do have to give them some brownie for that. However, it's not like Friday the 13th is a very good game. This is a game that had a litany of issues, whether it be technical issues, server issues at launch. This game was a train wreck, and the Metacritic score kind of goes to show. It has a 53 on Metacritic, and given that scores these days are pretty generous on Metacritic, having a 53, that is not a very good omen for the game. Now, the game did make some improvements while it was released, however, it never really got to that exceptional tier. As a multiplayer game though, as a freebie for Xbox Live Games with Gold members, it's a game that you and a couple of buddies can check out and have some fun with, so from that standpoint, I guess it's a decent offering. However, objectively speaking, both of the Xbox One games aren't very good in October. Tembo the Badass Elephant is a cool little title, however, it's not that marquee, grabbing title. It's a game that I think some people will have some fun with, but not a standout game. And Friday the 13th, yes, it's of a notable IP, and the game itself is kind of noteworthy, but not a very good game, and the Metacritic score kind of goes to show for that. Alright, can we be redeemed with the two Xbox 360 titles? Let's check them out. First up, we've got Disney Interactive Studios' Bolt. This is a 2008 release, and again, Bolt is a Disney movie, and it's an adaptation into a video game. Generally speaking, these games aren't very good, and you're talking about a game that was released all the way back in 2008, November of 08 to be exact, so we are approaching 11 years old for this game. Now, the game itself had a pretty mixed reception with a 57 on Metacritic. Some reviews were a little bit more positive, but after the course of 11 years, the game probably hasn't aged all too well. I can't speak on it all too much myself because I haven't played it. Official Xbox Magazine UK gives it a 3 out of 10, and Xbox World 360 Magazine gives it a 41. IGN gave it a 5.1 and did tout some decent ideas into the game, but again, as a 360 title, not very notable. It's of a IP that maybe some people know about, but game quality wise, I don't think it's really going to be there. Probably the most notable game of the entire month of October, and I wouldn't even say that this is a fantastic game, but Ninja Gaiden is going to be available to Gold subscribers with Ninja Gaiden 3 Razor's Edge. Now, the initial Ninja Gaiden 3 release was actually quite bad, but Razor's Edge modified a lot of the content, added a lot of content, and made the game a lot better. Even then, it wasn't received all too strongly with the 70 on Metacritic, but with Razor's Edge, Ninja Gaiden 3 did turn out to be a decent action-adventure title. If you're into challenging action, if you want that high-octane gameplay, Ninja Gaiden 3 absolutely offers that. In terms of how well it's aged, I mean, this released all the way back in 2013, and I believe the original Ninja Gaiden 3 released in 2012. So you're talking about a game that's competing with the action games of recent times, and if you look at this game versus like a Devil May Cry 5, obviously it's night and day on which game is better, but as a freebie offering, Ninja Gaiden is a pretty notable franchise, and there is some hack and slash fun to be had with this game, so I think this is a pretty decent offering. So I think based on how my verbiage has been and how generally I've been speaking on both months, it's pretty clear cut. Sony definitely had the better month in October. Yes, you're comparing 2 games to 4 games, but you are comparing 2 top-notch games to 4 games that are honestly a little bit more underwhelming, given that Microsoft has a decent standard with their games with gold offerings, but Tembo the Badass Elephant is a decent game. Friday the 13th is a pretty bad game. Bolt is a 2008 movie game that wasn't really received well in 08, so how's it gonna do in 19? And Ninja Gaiden 3 Razor's Edge, I like the game, but that's not even that big of a standout. So without a doubt, in my eyes, Sony won the month of October, but let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Do you think Xbox has the better offerings in the month of October, or do you think I am on point in my suggestion that Sony definitely does have the better lineups? Sound off with all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.